Let's start with I'm going to keep using this pun, literal biggest story of the day. Elmer Soderblom has beat every single but wait, no, there's too many things in the way, it's not likely, that's been put in front of him. And Elmer Soderblom has forced the hand of Derek Lalonde, Steve Yzerman, and the Red Wings staff and made the 23-man roster. Walk us through how he got to this point.
Well, generally speaking, for any rookie to make any team that's going to be halfway competitive, you have to exceed expectations in rookie tournaments, preseason, training camp, whatever you want to call it. And Soderblom did at every level. Now, obviously, he has one big advantage over a typical prospect where you don't have to worry about the physicality of the game at the NHL level with him, because at 6'8", I think it's pretty safe to say he can handle it, and nothing in the preseason showed otherwise. But yeah, he not only looked comfortable at this level, he was one of the stronger players in many of the games he played. I'd say 3 of them, minimum 2, where he was one of the better Red Wings on the ice. He was making plays. He wasn't afraid to try things, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad, but it speaks to the confidence he has, even at the higher level. He's not shy on the big stage. He's not trying to change his game going up levels. He knows what he is as a player, and he executed to the best of his ability. We saw the hands. We saw the goal scoring. We saw the ability to protect the puck. We saw the ability to play off the cycle. We saw him, in one-on-one situations in space, be able to juke a defender, which, again, we talk about what a unicorn Soderblom is, but 6'8" guys can't do that. They just can't, but he can. And, when you get up levels, he did it to, Riley Stillman or whoever in the preseason. Is he going to do that to, Cale Makar, Miro Heiskanen? No.
Not yet.
We'll find out.
But the fact that there's some guys in this league he can do it to is really, really impressive.
And Soderblom is going to be matched with teams' lower lines as well.
Yeah, he's playing a bottom 6 role in all likelihood, barring injuries on this team. And that's fine. He doesn't need to come in and play 20 minutes a night, power play 1. He also can't be playing 8 minutes a night. Otherwise, I'll be sitting here saying, just send him to Grand Rapids then.
I don't think Derek Lalonde has been vocal from the beginning.
Yeah, so he'll get halfway decent minutes. And I should preface this by saying, just because he's on the Red Wings now doesn't mean he will be in 10 games.
Yeah,
that's still very possible, because if he plays 9 games and goes 0-0-0-0-6 in those 9 games, yeah, obviously it's best for his development to go back to Grand Rapids, and that's fine. He's already exceeded expectations. The expectation was for him to start in Grand Rapids, so if he ends up there in a few games, it's not the end of the world, because obviously the pace is still going to get faster, things are going to get harder. He's going to be playing against full-time NHLers now, not part-time rosters like teams deploy in the preseason. But he did everything, literally everything the Red Wings would have needed to see from him to secure an NHL spot, and they're going to give him an honest look.
He beat out players like Jonathan Berggren. And Jonathan Berggren, I mean, you said this on Twitter, Brad, he had a great preseason. He's probably a guy where if the 23-man roster was a 24-man roster, his name is on that list. He did enough in my mind where all things balanced and all things equal, he would have made the team.
Jonathan Berggren would be on the 21-22 Red Wings right now.
Yeah, based on how he played, this preseason. Absolutely.
1,000%.
And that's not easy for Soderblom. Berggren had a year on him, a great year in Grand Rapids, a record-setting rookie year for Grand Rapids. It's genuinely not a knock on Jonathan Berggren. It's that Elmer Soderblom, in all the ways that Brad described, exceeded expectations and utilized his freakish size and abilities and executed at the pro level with zero hesitation. He came over from Sweden and did this on North American ice in a very competitive camp full of NHL players who have been there and done that. And he made some of the toughest talent evaluators like Steve Yzerman out there say, yep, this guy's got to be on the team. We have to give him a look. So for at least a little bit here, we're going to get some Elmer Soderblom. And I mean, just a treat for the fans. What a great surprise to have. Again, one of the best ways to be wrong when something like this happens.
Derek Lalonde basically said in his press conference today that one of the, big factors of having Elmer on the team over Jonathan Berggren was his size, because that's something that now gives Detroit a unique advantage when other teams have to game plan against them. So I think even if it was apples to apples between those two deciding who's going to take that last spot, they still go with Elmer because of what he said. And when I heard the press conference, I don't think the roster was set at that point. And when he said that, it seemed like a conclusion that Elmer was going to make the team.
And what's been the biggest priority one of the biggest priorities for Yzerman from the moment the Red Wings were getting those drubbings last year where they were losing like 9, 10, 11 goal games. He wants this team to be tougher to play against. And that doesn't necessarily mean bigger all the time. But when you have a chance to add someone who's 6'8", that you're tougher to play against. You don't have to be a 6'8" bruiser. You just have to be a 6'8" body out there protecting the puck. That's a tougher team to play against.
Yeah, obviously the lines that they were rolling in practice today mean nothing, so we're not going to read into it or talk about it today, but just for giggles, the one line they were rolling out as the fourth line today was Soderblom and Sundqvist flanking Michael Rasmussen,
yes,
where Oscar Sundqvist at 6'3" was comfortably the smallest player on that line.
Yes, I added up their heights, actually. Roughly 19 feet 5 inches, which is, I think, just a bit taller than a fully grown male giraffe, or, and I can't remember the dinosaur, the approximated length of the Carnotaurus, a carnivorous dinosaur. So,
you had nothing going on today.
Evan, those are very important facts.
I didn't say they weren't.
Those are the kind of hard-hitting analytics people subscribe for.
As soon as I leave your house, I don't question what you do with your time, and I hope you don't question what I do with mine.
We openly question you on what you do with your time all the time because we don't know what you do.
I'm at the golf course.
Other than that.
Today I was being an outdoor guy, doing all the cleaning the windows, the gutters, all that fun stuff. Yes, it was great. I had a great day.
A very domestic day.
Yeah, I was domesticated for sure.
All right. So, quick expectations on Elmer Soderblom. Let's say he stays for the season, which is, like you said, Brad, is not a guarantee. There is a chance he could go down after not very long. But for the sake of the argument, let's say he stays the full season. That's already a success in my mind. Disagree? Agree?
Oh, yeah, that would definitely be a success.
What would be your prediction on, let's say, like, what's a good season and what's your prediction on Elmer Soderblom?
I think he'll float between the third and fourth line. We'll probably see his minutes in the low teens. I don't foresee him playing on the penalty kill. I do see him getting time on the second power play unit for obvious reasons. Point projections on a rookie are hard enough to begin with, let alone a true unicorn player like he is. This year for him, if he can play a regular shift, help out an atrocious power play from last year and put up somewhere in the neighborhood of like 25-ish to 30 points, I would consider that a massively successful season.
Yeah, I'm at the point where if he even goes 10-10, like 10 goals, 10 assists, I'm happy with that. And honestly, even if he plays 25 games with the Red Wings, I think he's in line to play more. Then again, he has not seen like regular season NHL game action, and that's a whole different beast. You can play as many preseason games as you want, but players like David Perron aren't going out there and working their asses off. You don't run into the hardest of hard hitters or the hottest goal scorers in preseason. But if he survives that and plays like 25 games, for me, the bar is super low for him, ironically enough.
Yeah, quantitatively, I don't know if it really matters all that much. It's him getting comfortable playing in the NHL, which is difficult enough. And I mean, we're going back to the height again, but there's nowhere for him to hide out there.
No.
He's going to look, he's Chara, basically, and everyone's going to see him, and guys are going to notice that immediately. So there's absolutely no place for him to hide. So if he can, manage to play at the NHL level and stay above water, and I don't even know really what a point total would be for him to be successful. I think if he helps turn around the second power play unit, I think that's really all that matters. If he scores 25, if he scores 10, 25 points, 35 points, I think that's all going to be a fantastic season for Elmer.
You want to know the stupidest thing that I thought when I was at the game on Friday? First of all, great to be back at the LCA this season. And also, for those at the LCA who have been to the LCA for games against the Leafs, you'll know, especially as the Red Wings have been in the basement for the last little while, the amount of Canadians coming over for the Leafs-Red Wings split. Sometimes the Leafs fans outnumbered the Red Wings fans. And there were still a lot of Leafs fans there, but it wasn't as disproportionate as it's been in the past, and that's a great sign for this team. But you want to know my most prominent thought watching that game? Holy shit, he's even bigger in person. Like, he is just so colossal on the ice. You don't have to look at his jersey number or his name. You just look, you're like, yeah, that's Soderblom.
People don't really realize how tall 6'8" really is. It's like two Brads. It's like if Brad
just a bit more
was on the shoulders of another Brad.
Which, God help us all.
Yeah.
Sitting or standing? Like, am I sitting on my shoulders or am I standing on my shoulders?
Like you are right now.
I was going to say sitting, but Ryan is a worse friend, so
I certainly am.
I'll say sitting.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockeytown Evan.